Welcome to the Blue Oasis Podcast. This is the podcast for finding peace and prosperity, learning the history of hobbies, as well as developing a little side hustle. If you want to find peace and prosperity in your life, this is your show. Get ready. You're listening to the Blue Oasis Podcast. I am your host, Adam Rothstein. All right, let's get to the show. And welcome back to the Blue Oasis Podcast. I am your host, Adam Rothstein. So today we are talking about fictional podcasts. We are talking about stories. We're talking about translating an audiobook, or rather converting an audiobook to a podcast form, but each chapter is its own episode for your podcast. I do think that is a great way to put your audiobook out there. Certainly with multiple episodes, you can really make an impact, and it's out there forever as long as you keep the RSS feed up and no one censors you and it's not deleted by you. It's still there, and it's still a nice way to for people to learn about you and what you produce. I definitely do like the idea behind it. It also is easier than just dealing with Findaway Voices or even Authors Republic, but yet you do not get that money up front, and you're not necessarily guaranteed an income from from Spreaker. But now, in my experience, I have over 1,900 downloads to my podcast, and I've earned nearly $11.50 at this point, more than I have from this one audiobook, Chess, the Game for Peace and Prosperity. Definitely go on to your favorite audiobook platform and buy it when you get the chance. It definitely is a good idea to even put it maybe even both places, certainly if you're not necessarily well known. But if you are producing a 40-minute audiobook, anything under an hour, just keep it to Authors Republic or Findaway Voices, and don't just put 4 episodes out for the sake of doing it. I mean, it's better to just keep it all in one place and don't just divide it up just for the sake of trying to get ad revenue. I mean, I am producing a 50 episode podcast, or maybe with like 50 chapters or something, and it's not meant to be listened to all at once. That is another reason why, if your audiobook is under an hour, you do not want to just have the 4 episodes there. I mean, yes, people can share it, but it's not. It doesn't take the listener on for much of a ride, and with a simple audiobook, it's designed to. Some of it's designed to actually be listened to in one sitting. And one podcast episode is designed that way. And people want to be entertained. They want to come back to it. That's why I'm producing this podcast and The Goalie Kid, because it's going to be something that people want to come back to as well. And if you can get to 50 episodes on a podcast, I say it's worth producing regardless. And with the Blue Oasis Podcast, there's always going to be that weird hobby. There's always going to be that one person cooking food that you just have to talk about, and it's going to make a difference in someone's life. Now, with a story arc, you still want to have an ending. You don't want to just keep this going as well. Because if you just keep it going, I mean, you don't necessarily have to put an ending to it, but, or like if you like just reboot James Bond all the time, it's not, you're not, it's not necessarily going to become a franchise like James Bond. And I mean, rebooting it on the same RSS feed, on the same, for the same podcast, it could get confusing, certainly if there's different versions of a story. So you're definitely going to want to avoid that as well. And it's not like Star Trek or even a different version of Star Wars, or even if you've seen enough of the Transformers franchise, the cartoon, each series is kind of different from the other, and they have certain characters in some and different in others. They're called different names in others, and they look different in some others, and unless you get really into it and know, you don't necessarily have to know the difference of the characters. You just need to be able to get into the story. And you don't put all of it, all those different versions in one podcast feed, is what I'm just trying to emphasize. So, I definitely need to get to the ads, or just rather some self-promotion, so forgive me for a moment. So if you want to listen to a good audiobook, check out Chess, the Game for Peace and Prosperity by yours truly. It is available now on all audiobook platforms. I will leave a link in the show notes below, and I will also leave another link to my Gumroad courses, and you can definitely go check those out and see if you want to learn how to publish books on Amazon, get an audiobook done, and also just learn some audio stuff as well with the audio mastery course. It definitely is going to be worth your time. I can assure you that. And definitely, I hope that you will definitely enjoy what I have to offer to you. If you want to get into chess, definitely check out the audiobook for that. And it's priced at $2.99 on Chirp. So I'll put the Chirp link in the show notes. And with that being said, let's roll on. Okay, so we've got making an audiobook, making a podcast out of an audiobook. Also, you can also make a book out of it as well. And you certainly have things with Descript. You've got a lot of transcription websites where you could just put in your audio files and it'll transcribe it for you. Sometimes even for free if you can find the right site. This would definitely take a lot of the time off as well. And when writing, one chapter at a time, you can definitely make that difference as well. Now, I do have Legoli Kid as my first fictional podcast, and I have the first episode up. I would still try and aim for one episode per week, and and I am gonna put out episode 2. It's just gonna be a little bit later as well, and certain things will come up. I think if you're just gonna have the one feed, and you don't have any listeners yet, like you're starting from fresh, just put a note out, like just let people know on that podcast episode that you do not intend to put an episode out the following week at the same time, or you just want to, or just let them know through that if you're just starting out. Like, oh, I will post an episode on blah, blah, blah day or something, just let them know. And also see if you can get some email signups by putting that link in the show notes of your podcast as well. But I definitely do think that if you put this with Spreaker, it's definitely going to be easier to monetize your podcast as well. Getting the impressions is going to be a big thing. So for example, like and share this podcast. Also write a review and give me a 5-star rating on iTunes. And you should definitely go and do that, by the way. But you definitely want to keep that at the end of your podcast episode, and they will, and and as you get those ratings, you're going to see that come up, and you're going to see that make a difference as well. Now, when you do grow that base, be sure offer the sign up link and put some newsletters out as well. And I think you're going to be, impressed with, maybe people will sign up for a free version of it, or you can even ask for donations as well. But definitely offer that subscription service, and offer newsletters and access to episodes earlier than others. You can definitely make something out of it. I hope to do that too. If I get 3 million impressions on this, I think I make over $100,000 on this podcast. Think about that. Over $100,000 for about 3 million impressions. Now, I'm not exactly sure how impressions work on Spreaker. It's kind of weird, but I think as long as your audience is listening to the whole thing, I think you're going to get impressions. So just make sure they listen to the whole thing as well. And it's going to be on, and it's more than creating a good story as well, because you can create a good story and they could still just click off of it and just go to a different app on their phone and play Sonic the Hedgehog. They could, but still, let it, you can still, it can still be listened to in the background. It can be listened to on the computer, on the phone, on the tablet, anywhere. I do genuinely believe that it's going to be, we're going to see more of these fictional podcasts come about. It's very different than just this random hobbies I'm talking about every week or once a week on the Blue Oasis podcast. It's better in a sense because, you're more structured, you're writing your script for the characters, and you kind of have an idea of what you're going to talk about every week. I don't necessarily have a topic automatically every week. In fact, this is what I did want to talk about because of the Goalie Kid and where I want to take the story as well. I'll tell you a little bit about the Goalie Kid. So Benny Jensen is an 18-year-old kid. He is just trying to find his way in life, and he and along the way, him and his friends learn about entrepreneurship and what they want out of life. And I see so many high schoolers, so many kids going off to college. They don't know what they want. And I write him in the sense like he's still a bit unsure. He's definitely leaning. He wants hockey in his life, and I also have a big twist set up for episode 4. So definitely stay tuned for that one. And about life for an 18-year-old. I was so ignorant at 18. I wish I could go back in time and say, look, you may have gotten you may get a magazine out of this, but believe me, you're going to be in debt, and it may be better for you to be a chef. Believe me, if I was either rejected from Towson University or never picked up hockey for whatever reason, I don't think I would have even gone away to school at some point. Or, I mean, maybe I would have, but I probably would have spent 1 year or 2 years at community college and probably still lived with my parents at that time. But I probably still would have had friends from high school and just hung out. And things could have turned out a lot different for me. And I really do wish, you can turn back time and just try again, sort of thing. But we don't live in a Sega Genesis game. We don't live in a Nintendo game. We live in this third dimension on planet Earth, and we have to keep moving forward. And it's not easy. And I apologize for that real quickly. So, sorry about that. Now, the entire point of developing this story, it's kind of like writing a novel. So if you can write a novel, you can write a book, you can definitely, and you can even either narrate with yourself or you can narrate with another person, and you can definitely pay someone. You can pay someone over on Upwork or Fiverr and just get that one person and just have them coming back. If you want a continuous person, just get them to come along. You can record this with them and just pay them a flat fee or by the hour. I think there goes my notebook. I definitely think it would be worth it if you have the budget for it. But if you want to do it alone by yourself, like I'm doing, go right ahead. Also, if you're going to be voice acting, there are classes on Skillshare.com, and definitely sign up for a group or just see if you can find someone, get a little sample, get to know them, and maybe just take some lessons as well. But Skillshare.com is still a great place to start for voice acting, and I think they even have advanced stuff as well, if I'm not mistaken. So there's that. I still recommend Spreaker for doing this, mainly because they actually automatically put ads on your podcast. You have to just click 2 buttons or something, and then you're good to go. You can even have a mid-roll ad, which I still don't recommend for that, because with a mid-roll ad, that could just, like, you could be at the climax of your story, but it's just like, just like on television, like when you see like the bad guy face off against, like when the fighting is going to happen, the bad guy facing off against the good guy and vice versa. It could, it's just like, sponsored to you by Windex or whatever the commercial is. It's like, oh man, why did you do that? Why did you do that? And you definitely, and do not put that on a audiobook on Chirp, please don't, because they already paid for it. It's not worth it. Don't do it. Please. Oh, man. This took longer than I expected. Now, I will say that if you can definitely rewrite a few things before putting things out. In fact, I would even recommend have someone look over your work. Now, or you could, you don't necessarily have to do that, but if you really want to make this shine, get someone to look it over. I've got, I already am looking, I'm actually doing this all on my own. But if you have someone in your life that can do it, that knows this story, that knows a little bit about podcasting even, and just how to even produce this, you have that expert, definitely have them look over your story. And also write a few chapters ahead of each episode, so then you have like an extra 3 or 4 chapters ready to go, and you're not scrambling to write a chapter for next week. Man, that was a long one though. So apologies for the long one. I hope you all do well. Share this with a friend. Rate this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and subscribe to this, and share this show with several friends. And I hope you got something out of this episode. So with that being said, stay safe, stay great, and I'll talk to you all in the next episode.